Today, we'll be teaching you the fight song. I'm Nalea, and this is Aaliyah. We'll start with the words. Red and black, our colors proudly flying. We are the knights, will conquer, never fear. Deep in our hearts, our love for Bishop Luers makes us feel we want to shout and cheer. Rah, rah. Every time they ask us who the knights are, we'll be proud to show our loyalty. We will sing a fighting song. We will sing it loud and strong. Bishop Luers, march to victory. Hey, V-I-C-T-O-R-Y. Victory, victory, Bishop Luers high. Now let's break that down. We'll start with the 4 claps before we start our cadence. Dunta, dunta, da, dunta. And now we'll move on to our first motion, the bow and arrow. Her right arm will be tucked in a broken T, and her left arm will be outstretched into a T. Next, she'll move on to the next motion, where her arms are crossed over her body and her right hand is back. Next, she'll do her kick. She'll have her hands in a high V. It's important to remember when you're doing your motions, your little donuts and your big donuts. In a high V, you want your big donuts out. And then for your kick, toes nice and pointed, and then she'll come down to her clean with her fingers nice and together and her thumbs checked together. Okay? Let's put that all together. Dunta, dunta, da, dunta. Da, 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 dun, da, da. Okay? And now we'll move on to our diagonals. First, she'll start with her right diagonal. Her right hand is up and her left hand is down. Then she'll switch to a broken T. And then we'll go to our left diagonal. Good. And then we'll go back to our broken T. We'll come out to a T. In your T, you want to have your big donuts out, arms nice and high, and you want to be able to see this motion in your peripherals. You don't want to be too far back or too far forward. Just right in the middle. And then from there, we'll go into our daggers. You want these to be about a shoulder width apart, and then down to your touchdown, keeping those about still a shoulder width apart. Let's put that all together. Dunta, dunta, da, dunta. Da, 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 dun, da, da. Da, da, dun, da, da, ch. And now we'll move on to the words. For our first word, red, she'll have her arms behind her head near a ponytail. Can you turn around for us? And a ponytail. And she'll have her right leg up. Nice and tucked. You want your toes pointed. Okay? And then from there, she'll go to her next motion. You'll have your high V again. We've already seen this motion. And then your legs are going to be shoulder width apart. From there, we'll go to our next motion. Good. So you'll kind of do a swing from your high V. You'll swing and clap at the top. You want to swing inwards. And then from here, this is our prep for our jump. So you'll have your arms in your clasp, and then you'll kind of sit down for your jump, arms up, swing, and then you'll do a toe touch. Come back down and clean. For the words for that, so red and black, our colors proudly flying. We are the knights, hit, will conquer, never fear. You want to make sure you hold down until fear, so we can all stand up at the same time and it looks nice and clean. After fear, you'll stand up and you'll clap twice. 1, 2. Section we'll be breaking down is deep in our hearts, our love for Bishop Luers. For our first motion, we'll have our down check. For this motion, you'll have your left hand by your ponytail spot and your right hand out into a low V. Our hearts will move to our up check. You'll have your left hand in a purse style, like you'd carry your purse, and then your right hand will be moved up into a high V. Then we'll swing and meet our other hand in our high V, bring it down to a low V, and squat. Then we'll have our daggers, and we're back up standing, a right fight, squatting. For the right fight, you want to make sure you have your little donuts out, and then we'll clean. Let's put all that together from the beginning. Dunta, dunta, da, dunta. Da, 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 dun, da, da. Da, da, dun, da, da, ch. Red and black, our colors proudly flying. We are the knights, will conquer, never fear. Deep in our hearts, our love for Bishop Lou Urs. Clean. Next, we'll be breaking down makes us feel we want to shout and cheer, rah, rah. We'll start with our first motion. Makes, you'll have your left hand in a dagger and your right hand will be in a T. Us will be in a touchdown. Feel, we'll switch from our first motion, so now your right hand will be in a dagger and your left hand will be out in your T. Feel, back down into your low touchdown. We want to shout and cheer, rah, rah. We'll do charges and step forward. 2. 1, 2. Let's do that section again. I'd like to point out the pause in the makes us feel section. Makes us feel, pause, we want to shout and cheer, rah, rah. Now, let's put that together from the top. Dunta, dunta, da, dunta, da, 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 dunta, da, 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 dunta, da, ch. Red and black, our colors proudly flying. We are the knights, will conquer, never fear. Deep in our hearts, our love for Bishop Lou Urs makes us feel we want to shout and cheer, rah, rah. For our next section, we'll be breaking down every time they ask us who the knights are. For our first motion, every will be in a squat and a low V. Our large donuts should be out, just like so. Time will be in a high V, big donuts still out, and then we'll do our swing. Make sure you're swinging inwards, and then clap at the top, and then we'll bring it down. Okay, so let's put words to that. Every time they ask us who the knights are. Now that we have that broken down, we're going to start from the top. Dunta, dunta, da, dunta. Da, 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 dun, da, 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 dun, da, da, ch. Red and black, our colors proudly flying. We are the knights, will conquer, never fear. Deep in our hearts, our love for Bishop Lou Urs makes us feel we want to shout and cheer, rah, rah, every time they ask us who the knights are. Let's break that next section down. Our first motion will be a left low V, and then we'll bring that up to a right T, and then a left high V, and then a high V. Loyal will have our daggers, and then T will be in a right fight, and we'll have our little donuts outstretched. Now, let's put words to that. We'll be proud to show our loyalty. Clap, clap. Now, let's add that from the top. Dunta, dunta, da, dunta, da, 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 dunta, da, 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 dunta, da, ch. Red and black, our colors proudly flying. We are the knights, will conquer, never fear. Deep in our hearts, our love for Bishop Lou Urs makes us feel we want to shout and cheer, rah, rah. Every time they ask us who the knights are, we'll be proud to show our loyalty. The last section we just broke down, you'll notice, has a walking element. If you're in the front row, you'll move to the back row, and if you're in the back row, you'll move to the front row. The next section we'll break down is we will sing a fighting song. Our first motion will be a left K. Your left arm will be out with your big donut showing, and your right hand will be down, not covering your face, with your little donut showing. Next, we'll have Aaliyah turn around for us and show us the next motion. Our left hand will be on our ponytail, and our right hand will be right above our butt. Next, we'll move on to our right K, and then your right hand will be above here with your big donut showing, and your left hand will be down with your little donut showing. And then finally, we'll swing up to a high V. Now let's put words to that. We will sing a fighting song. The next section we will break down. We will sing it loud and strong. This section of words contains a set of motions that we like to call our signature breakdown. We'll start from a high V. We'll start with our right hand, use our left to push down, and then out into a low V. I'll have her break that down one more time slowly for us. Back into our high V, right hand first, then left, and then back into our low V. Now let's put words to it. Back in our high V, we will sing it loud and strong. Clean. Remember when you're cleaning to keep your thumbs tucked. Now, let's put it together from the beginning. Dunta, dunta, da, dunta, da, 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 dunta, da, 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 dunta, da, ch. Red and black, our colors proudly flying. We are the knights, will conquer, never fear. Deep in our hearts, our love for Bishop Luers makes us feel we want to shout and cheer. Rah, rah. Every time they ask us who the knights are, we'll be proud to show our loyalty. We will sing a fighting song. We will sing it loud and strong. From one of the sections that we previously broke down, you remember that we had a walking section. If you were in the front row, you moved to the back row, and if you were in the back row, you moved to the front row. From here, we'll do the clap out. So if you're in the front row currently, you'll be moving to the back row during this clapping section. Now for the words for that clapping section. Bishop Luers march to victory, hey. We'll do 8 claps. Bishop Luers march to victory, hey. For the hey part, we'll start in our dagger and then push down to our low touchdown. From here, we'll start our ripple for the V-I-C-T-O-R-Y. I'll have you learn the second ripple. This is subject to change when we get a lineup later in the season, but the second ripple is what we're going to learn today. Although we're teaching you the second ripple today, we'd like to show you all 3 ripples and what it would possibly look like. So we'll have Aaliyah start with the first ripple. V-I-C-T. For V, you'll step out with your right foot, and then you'll have your arms in what we call an L. Your left hand will be up by your ear, little donut showing, and your right hand will be out in a T with your big donut showing. And then for CT, we'll have you come into like a bent over position. Your hands, your wrist will be grabbing your wrist, over by your side, and bent over. Now for the second ripple. V-I-C-T-O-R-Y. This one's a little different. So you'll start with your L on CT, and then you'll move down for your O-R. Okay? And finally, we'll do third ripple. V-I-C-T-O-R-Y. And that wraps up the ripple section. Now that we've learned our ripple, let's put that together from the beginning. Dunta, dunta, da, dunta, da, 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 dunta, da, 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 dunta, da, ch. Red and black, our colors proudly flying. We are the knights, will conquer, never fear. Deep in our hearts, our love for Bishop Luers makes us feel we want to shout and cheer. Rah, rah. Every time they ask us who the knights are, we'll be proud to show our loyalty. We will sing a fighting song. We will sing it loud and strong. Bishop Luers march to victory, hey. V-I-C-T-O-R-Y. After our ripple section, no matter what ripple you have, you'll end in the crouched position. From there, V-I-C-T-O-R-Y. You'll pop back up, victory, victory, Bishop Luers high. Let's break that down. Victory is a clap. Victory, Bishop is a prayer clasp. Luers, we're going to have our arms crossed above our chest. And then high, we'll do our high V, and we'll have a liberty with our right leg. Now we'll do the fight song all together slowly with words and motions. Dunta, dunta, da, dunta. Da, 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 dun, da, da. Da, da, dun, da, da. Ch. Red and black, our colors proudly flying. We are the knights, will conquer, never fear. Deep in our hearts, our love for Bishop Luers makes us feel we want to shout and cheer. Rah, rah. Every time they ask us who the knights are, we'll be proud to show our loyalty. We will sing a fighting song. We will sing it loud and strong. Bishop Luers march to victory, hey. V-I-C-T-O-R-Y. Victory, victory, Bishop Luers high.
And this completes the fight song. We'll show it to you again with the music. Please excuse our static.